Shalom everyone, I'm Ariella. Welcome to our Kabbalat Shabbat service, and before we get started, could you type in for me if you can hear me and see me? And I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see if you tell me that you can see me and hear me. And I'll wait a second because, as you know, we have about a 15-second lag. And tonight, as you may or may not have noticed, Katsira was supposed to be with you tonight, but her dad is sick, so she's taking care of him. And I'm covering for her. Our approaches to services are very different, so I hope you won't be terribly disappointed. On the other hand, I won't be offended if you leave. Last week you got funny boxes in the video. I'm not surprised, and I hope that doesn't happen tonight. But if it does, all I can say is accept my apologies. Are we the only two here? I can't see. So tonight, we're going to have our usual Kabbalat Shabbat. And because I didn't have as long as I normally have to be able to prepare anything for a discussion, I just wanted to let you know that what I decided to do is just pick something that I do every week, is look at the week and see what happened that's relevant to Jewish history, pick one item. I was going to pick two, but since I usually keep you overtime and you're gracious enough to stay, I thought we might even finish on time, or maybe even a little early tonight. Wouldn't that be interesting? So again, if you haven't signed in, go down to the bottom and don't hit where it says OneShul chat room until you sign in. And you can do that with the little thing that says menu or the down pointing arrow. That will allow you to put in a name of whatever you like to be called by, and I'd certainly appreciate it. Again, we have a 15-second lag, so I'm not ignoring you. I just won't hear you immediately. So we know that Kabbalat Shabbat means that we're going to have the reception of the Sabbath. That's what we're going to do tonight. We know that it's our most important ritual observance, and it's the only one that's instituted in the Ten Commandments. I start off my Shabbat before dinner with Rabbi Nachman, how he started his, Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, how he commenced his Shabbat. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read that with you. May it be God's will that I be privileged to receive this holy Shabbat with happiness and joy, with song and excitement. Protect me so that no sadness or depression, no anguish or worry will mar my Shabbat. May I be happy with all my soul, with all my heart, and with all my strength. Let this happiness without limit encompass the world, your people Israel, me, my loved ones, and the members of my household. Again, Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. Now we have the rabbinic institution of lighting the candles, and this is what formally ushers in the Sabbath. We're supposed to have a minimum of 2, and that comes from the 4th of the 10 Commandments that appears in 2 places in the Torah. To remember the Sabbath to sanctify it, and to observe the Sabbath to sanctify it. And in my home, I usually say this before the candle lighting. These lights are only flickering flames, yet flames illumine our uncertain steps. Flames purify and renew, soften and refine. They brighten and make warm. Flames remind us of Sabbaths long past and of their beauty that delighted our hearts. May they inspire us to work for the great Sabbath of peace. And now, the candle blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Okay, before we move on to the next thing, Tal, that's great. Thanks for letting me know you're reading Torah tonight. Good for you. I'll be thinking of you. Now, you all know that I love to pretend, so we're going to pretend that we went to shul, we lit our candles, went to shul, we came home, and according to the Talmud, we're coming home with 2 angels, one good one and one bad one. And around our table, we sing Shalom Aleichem, which is based on this Talmud story about one good angel and one bad angel. This is Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Yasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem LaShalom, Malachei Yashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni LeShalom, Malachei Yashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeirchem LaShalom, Malachei Yashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Now I have a special surprise for you tonight, and boy, you say that the bad angel has been busy these past few weeks. As you know, very salient comment. As you know, we've just come out of the 3 weeks of mourning. We're making the shift over to the happier times, especially beginning with Sunday, when you're going to be stuck with me again, where we celebrate one of my favorites that apparently a lot of people don't know about, which is Tu B'Av, our equivalent of Valentine's Day. But the special surprise tonight is Lanny isn't with us because it's his wedding anniversary. But he offered to send me his video that he had sent to Addie, and we've all seen this Kiddush that Addie used to play all the time. And I feel like an idiot. As many times as I've seen it, I didn't know it was Lanny, but it is. So here is Lanny, in his absence, doing Kiddush for us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei pori hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit Ki hu yom techila lamikra'e kodesh zecher l'siyat Mitzrayim Ki vanu v'chata v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon Hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Baruch atah Adonai.
Well, that was Lanny taking his cheekful, and now it's our turn. And I would like to say happy anniversary, Lanny, from all of us here at OneShul. We miss you tonight. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the hand washing, our next way that we sanctify Shabbat. This, too, is a rabbinic ordinance from Temple times. Originally, it was only decreed for the priests before they ate their sacred food. Eventually, it was extended to all of us. So here is the hand washing blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim.
Our final ritual before we partake of our Shabbat meal is the blessing of the bread. Now, although the picture doesn't show it, we know that the bread and the knife are supposed to be completely covered both above and below. The uncut loaves are uncovered, raised, and the blessing is then said.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lahem min haaretz. Amen.
Now, this is where I like to play Hine Matov, which is my favorite way to tell you how happy I am that we're together tonight. This is the first verse from Psalm 133, and it's how good and pleasant is it when brothers dwell together in unity. Hine Matov.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. מה טוב ומה נעים. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב.
Now, usually during Kabbalat Shabbat service, multiple Psalms are read. We're only going to do one tonight, Psalm 96. And if you don't mind, I have it up here in both English and Hebrew. I'm going to give it a stab in Hebrew. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol ha'aretz, shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo, basru miyom liyom yeshuato, sapru v'goim kevodo, B'chol ha'amim niflotav, ki gadol Adonai umhula meod, norahu al kol Elohim, ki kol Elohei ha'amim elalim, v'Adonai shamayim asah. Hod v'hadar lafanav, oz v'teferet b'mikdasho, havu l'Adonai mishpachot amim, havu l'Adonai kavod v'oz. Havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, sumihat uvo'u lahatrotav. Hishtahavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh, chilu mipanav kol ha'aretz. Imru v'agayim Adonai malach, avtikon tevel baltimot, yadin amim b'mesharim. Yismahu hashemayim v'tegel ha'aretz, yiram hayam umlo'o. Ya'alo sadai v'chol asher bo, az yarananu kol atzei ya'ar. Lifnei Adonai kiva lishbot ha'aretz, yishbot tevel b'tzedek, v'amin be'emunato. Now, Kabbalat Shabbat, as you know, means reception of the Sabbath, and we think about Rabbis Hanina and Yanai, who stood out in their yards with their finest clothes on. One said, "Let us go forth and meet the Queen of Shabbat," and the other said, come, O bride," so you get the drift. And let's read together here. Guess I can stick myself in the corner of this one. The sun has already disappeared beyond the treetops. Come, let us go and welcome the Sabbath Queen. She is already descending among us, holy and blessed, and with her are angels, a host of peace and rest. Come, O Queen, come, O Queen. Peace be unto you, O angels of peace. Sit among us, O pure Shabbat Queen, and enlighten us with your splendor. Tonight and tomorrow, then you may pass on. And we, for our part, will honor you by wearing beautiful clothing, by singing Zemarot, by praying, and by eating 3 meals, and with complete rest and with pleasant rest. Bless me with peace, O angels of peace. Now, these stories from the Talmud about Rabbi Hanina and Yanai refer to also the Lahadodi hymn. You'll see the first line is in Hebrew with the English underneath it. You'll be hearing the refrain, which is the first line, repeated multiple times, and the first and last verse of the Lahadodi will be sung in Hebrew, and you can follow along in English. I picked out my favorite tune, by the way. There's lots of them available.
לקראת קלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך תודי, לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת לתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי הלאה, בואי הלאה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
The Shema, which means hear, is our declaration of faith in one God. It's considered to be our most important prayer. We're obligated to say it twice daily, in the morning and at night. I'd like us to read it together, and then I'm going to go ahead and play it in Hebrew for you. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall speak of them when you are sitting at home, and when you go on a journey, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be jewels between your eyes. You shall inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam
Michamoka is based on the Song of the Sea poem from Exodus 15. It answers the question, who is like you, Lord? The answer of which is, of course, there is none like him. This is Michamoka.
בחודש.
The Hatsi Kaddish, or half Kaddish, is sometimes called the Reader's Kaddish, and typically it's used as a separator between parts of a service. It's a hymn about the praise. It's a hymn of praise about the greatness of God. And as we move into the interactive part of our evening, I thought this would be an appropriate place for us to listen to the Hatsi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמה תברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחייכו בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו אלא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן ואמרו אמן.
Let's move on to the prayer for healing. This one, of course, is by Debbie Friedman. And this is for anyone who's in physical or spiritual need for healing, compassion, restoration, strength. And remember that you can type in your own name. So if you have anybody, please go ahead and type in, and I'll read it over the music. Rachel in the hospital. Our prayers for you, Rachel. Ruth, who's waiting for surgery. Best wishes to you, and our prayers will be thinking about you. All at Beit Torah. Adele, that must be you. Thank you, and I'm sure that they appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay, and here we come to the gratitude part. Anything that any blessings, anything you're grateful for, anything that's made you happy this past week. Just feel free to go ahead and type in. I wish I could hear you. Well, I'm grateful tonight for all of you being here with me. Any blessings for anybody this week? Anything that's made you happy? Anything you're grateful for? Okay, we're going to move on to the converse now. Anybody have anything that's made them sad, worried them, or bothered them this week? And I'm going to do something very odd. Please bear with me, but you know I've been praying for my dog for the past couple of weeks. It's been making me very sad. As it turns out, today, Yad Hashem, thank you. As it turns out, my dog Casey's going to have his eye removed on Monday morning. So I would like you to all meet him before he loses his eye. My brother's going to bring him over here so you can see him. There you go. This is Casey, my 7-year-old schnoodle. He's diabetic, and he's going to be losing his right eye, which is already blind, so hopefully he'll do just as well without it, but he's in terrible discomfort now, so I'm sure he'll be better. Thank you for bearing with me and letting me show you my doggy. Next to God, this baby is the center of my universe. Thank you, y'all. Thanks, Kyle. We will, in fact, do that, guest 109. Now, the Aleinu is the prayer that's said at the end of all 3 daily services. So let's conclude the service portion tonight with the Aleinu before we move on to a very brief discussion.
Shalom,
This is a picture of Nachmanides' Ramban, or Moshe ben Nachman, and we're going to start our discussion a little bit about the great debate tonight. But first, a little bit about who participated in the debate. And Rabbi Nachman was born in Girona, Spain. He was a physician and a Torah scholar. Sound familiar? He became the leader of the Spanish Jewry after Maimonides died in 1204. He was the first accepted rabbinic scholar to legitimize the use of the Kabbalah. The Zohar was published in the early 13th century, and unlike some of the other commentators on the Torah, he had a really mystical bent to his commentaries, which is very evident if you read through his comments. I have his series of writings, and they're very interesting. Now, he had the debate with Pablo Cristiani, who was born, this is a very interesting story, he was born to a pious Jewish family in France. He married a Jewish woman, but then he converted to Christianity. So he took his kids, converted them, joined a Dominican order, and became a missionary, a very avid missionary, to convert Jews to Christianity. He attempted to ban the Talmud, and he spent most of his life doing exactly that. And he was the one who first obtained the edict requiring Jews to wear badges. We're talking back in 1260s here. Now, the Great Debate of 1263, often referred to as the Dispute of Barcelona. Before we get a grasp on it, I had to go back and look at what the milieu of the Middle Ages was. Remember that in the 13th century, 1238 to be more precise, there was a reconquest of Spain by the Christians. The Muslims were forced south, and that became their last stronghold. It was in the Kingdom of Granada. And this was, the Middle Ages was about the 5th century after the collapse of the Roman Empire until the 14th or the 15th century at the beginning of the Renaissance. Nobody's willing to give precise dates, of course, but that's the general time frame we're talking about here. The King James I of Aragon is a big player in this. When he was in Aragon, the Kingdom of Aragon, he said that the Jews can remain, but he tried to convert them. This guy was barely literate, and he was a devout Catholic. But what we need to remember, most importantly, is that Maimonides was very controversial during his life and after his death. Nachman disagreed with a lot of what Maimonides said, but he never disagreed with him in public, and he never wrote or said anything against him. Maimonides caused a lot of infighting among the Jews. And Nachman, despite the fact, as I said, he wasn't a rationalist like Maimonides was, but he defended him diligently, and he was the one responsible for stopping the infighting. From about 1240 to 1250, there were burning of Maimonides' books, and in 1250, King Louis IX forced the Jews to give up the Talmud, and they burned Maimonides' books, everything they could get their hands on. The debate itself was ordered by King James as requested by Peneafort, who was Christianity's superior and a big honcho in the Catholic Church. There were 5 Dominicans versus Nachmanides in this debate, and it is said that this is the only fair debate that was ever held, and that was because Nachmanides was guaranteed complete freedom of speech. They spent 4 days debating, and the debate took place in front of the king. This apparently started about 3 centuries of debate in medieval Europe. The king actually thought that if he could prove the veracity of Christianity by having his Christian cohorts win this debate, that he would surely go to heaven. Now, some of the questions were, the 2 probably most important, or that is cited as being the most important, was, had the Messiah appeared or not? And according to Scripture, is the Messiah a divine or a human being? With respect to the appearance of the Messiah, the arguments of both sides were based on the Talmud itself, and I won't go into too many details, except I would like to say that Nachmanides said, "From the time of Jesus until the present, the world has been filled with violence and injustice, and the Christians have shed more blood than all other peoples," based, of course, on the fact that Jesus was supposed to be the Prince of Peace, and peace certainly has not come, did not come then, and has yet to come. And with respect to the divine or human, Nachmanides demonstrated from both biblical and Talmudic sources that the prophets regarded the future Messiah as human, and also refuted Christianity's claim that was based on Isaiah 53, where it was said that it's purportedly a description of how Jesus died, and that in fact came true. So Jesus therefore must be the Messiah. Nachmanides did an excellent job contesting that. While the debate was going on and it became clear that Nachmanides was going to win, the Jews begged him to withdraw because he was winning. They were really afraid that the Christians were going to have a severe uprisal and that they would be in dire straits. Now, the outcome of the debate. Nachmanides won, if you will, and he actually received 300 gold coins from King James, and who said that he'd never before seen such an unjust cause so nobly defended. Now, Nachmanides went ahead and published the proceedings of the debate, and Christianity extracted selected comments, and he demanded punishment. And Christianity said, "I didn't publish anything that wasn't said in the debate. You promised me that you guaranteed me freedom of speech. I didn't write anything that I didn't say in public." And unfortunately, I guess he went and also said the same kinds of things in the synagogue the subsequent week. And it was then argued by the Christians that he didn't have permission to preach it in his synagogue. So the king was going to give him 2 years of exile and burn his pamphlets in order to try and satisfy the Christians. But that wasn't enough for the Dominicans, who tortured him. And by the time he was 72, Nachmanides finally fled Spain. He went to Jerusalem. And when he went to Jerusalem, he couldn't even find 10 Jews because of the Crusades and the ravaging by the Moors. He went to Nablus then in Israel and found 2 brothers who were Jews, brought them to Jerusalem. Then he went to Hebron and had several Jews there that he brought back to Jerusalem with him. He saw a building that had 4 pillars and a dome. He bought it with his own money and started a synagogue. And that reestablished the Jewish community in Jerusalem. Now, this synagogue stood until 1948, when it was blown up by the Arabs. But it has subsequently been rebuilt in the Jewish quarter of Jerusalem, where it stands still today. And that's all we have for the discussion tonight. Does anybody have any comments, questions? Well, you know, we always need volunteers at OneShul to present a class. You can lead a service, write an article, make a video. We'd love to have it. And if you're able to donate $5 or $10, that would be great. If you can only do one, we would love to have it. It's tax deductible. It'll help us stay on the air. And the donate button is at the top of your page. This is my email address. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, anything you'd like to see taken out, etc., please let me know. I would really appreciate it. And I would like to thank all of you for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. I know we've been a small group, but I love having you in my home tonight. Thank you so much for coming. And I hope to see you on Sunday, which is Tu B'Av. We're going to have a lot of fun, have a nice background, talk about love stories of the Bible, and talk about why it was such a, to me anyway, an important and intriguing holiday, which apparently a lot of us don't recognize yet. Shabbat Shalom to Both of you, I really appreciate you coming. Thanks for staying with me tonight. That's very kind of you. I appreciate it.